Hey guys, today's profile review is going to be of a silver AD carry player on the EUS server who wants to reach diamond. I'm going to break down everything he needs to do from his champion pool to his laning phase to his macro gameplay of what he needs to do to go from silver 1 to diamond. I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you want your profile review, check out the link below. Let's get into the video. So currently you are silver 1 at 67 LP and your goal rank is to get to diamond. Now in this profile review, I'm going to tell you everything you need to do to go from silver to diamond. And then at the end, it's really up to you if you want to do what it takes to get to diamond. So you're basically going from the top 37% of players to the top 2%. That's a big change. You're going to have to change a lot of things that you're currently doing, but also a lot of things will stay the same. You just need a really robust strategy for when you're wanting to climb from silver to diamond. It makes sense, right? You're trying to go from silver to gold to platinum to diamond. Top 40% of players to the top 2%. So you really do need to change things, but don't worry, we'll go through all of that. So the big things I'm going to focus on, well, we've already covered your goal rank. Second thing is your champion pool. Third is your win rates. Fourth is your laning phase, and then your fifth is your kill participation. Those are the things we're going to focus on for this profile review. So the first one is your champion pool. So jumping over to Mobalytics, I think this is the better view for you to look at and understand your champion pool currently. Now, something quite interesting has happened here with your champion pool. So firstly, I can see there's a couple of really high win rate champs. I can see Misfortune, Siva, Jinx, and Twitch. I assume you don't play too much Siva and Misfortune at the moment as they've kind of fallen out of the meta at the moment, which makes sense. Something interesting to note with your Twitch though is that even though you have a 62.1% win rate on him, your LP gains are only at plus 36, which makes me think that you had a really bad start of the season on your Twitch and now you've actually gotten a lot better on him, which is really good to hear and see. And it's good for you to understand that, wow, I can actually improve quite dramatically on a AD carry in a relatively short amount of time. The one concern I have for you in regards to champion pool, win rate, and overall games is that you've played 318 AD carry games between preseason and last season with a 52% win rate, which is pretty good. The issue I'm having, and ideally you want this win rate to be about 53 to 56%, so that is a little low for when we're climbing, and particularly when a player wants to go from silver to diamond, you really need that win rate to be at least 56%. Now, the issue I have is that 318 games, only 66 of them were played on your highest win rate champion. So I'm not very good at math, but that is like, 10%, is it? Of 10% of your games, 20% of your games were played on your highest win rate champion. And then the rest, there's another maybe 15% here, another 15% here, like 5%, 5%. So what I'm seeing is really out of your top 5 most played champions, about 50% of your games were on your most played champions. One of them had a negative win rate, which is really not effective for climbing. And the other 50% of your games, I don't really know what you were doing. So this is a problem that a lot of players have, and particularly a lot of players who are in the silver, gold, platinum region and they want to get to diamond. They are currently playing the game in a way that's never going to allow them to get to diamond. Because when you're playing 50% of your games on champions that you don't have very good mastery on or you don't play them very often, you have a much higher chance of losing that game simply because you don't understand what to do to win with that AD carry. You're basically throwing games or coin flipping or decreasing your chances of winning. Whereas if you were playing, 50, 60, 70% of your games purely on Twitch, instead of being silver 1 right now, you're probably gold 3, gold 2, maybe even gold 1 without actually being a better player. It's just having a better strategy that's more conducive to your strengths and focuses less on your weaknesses or allows less of your weaknesses to come into your gameplay, your strategy, and overall your ability to climb in ranked. So that's the first thing. You need to cut this champion pool down and you need to be playing 1 to 3 main AD carries and be playing 80 to 100% of your games on those champions. Ideally, the higher the better. Ideally, 90 to 100% of your games on those champions. Because they are the champions that you have the most mastery on, the most historical success. So your highest win rate champions, your Twitch, your Jinx, and maybe your Siva or your Misfortune. Just because they're out of meta doesn't mean they're still not strong. And you do have quite good win rates on them, which makes me think you're probably better than the average Siva, MF, silver player. So you can integrate them into your champ pool. I would suggest cut out the K. But that's the first thing. You need to cut down that champion pool, and ideally, I would say if you're really wanting to climb to diamond, you just one-trick Twitch to diamond. You can easily do it. You might have doubts in your head, but super easy to do. I coach many players, many AD carries right now, and they're in the server that you're in as well, to diamond, playing Twitch, one-tricking AD carries, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Kai'Sa, Jinx, you name it. Any champion, you can one-trick to diamond quite easily, as long as you, as the individual, have your heart set on it and you believe in yourself. The third thing, and I touched upon this a little bit, is your win rate. So you've got an overall win rate of 52%, which is great for climbing from Silver 1 to Gold, but it's not going to get you much further than that per season. So what we really need to do is get this win rate up to 55 to 56%. And that's why the champion pool is so important. Because in order to get your overall win rate up, you need to be playing champions that have a high win rate for you historically. Because if you're not doing that, your overall win rate's never going to go up. Your MMR isn't going to improve. You're going to continue to be hard stock or struggle to climb. Silver 1 to Gold 4 is going to take you months rather than weeks, etc., etc., etc. So that's why that small champion pool focused on your highest win rate, highest performing AD carries is so important. And that's why Mobalytics, what we're looking at right now, is so good for players like you who have these ambitious goals. It tells you exactly what you need to do to get there. You just need to understand it, believe it, and commit to it, and be willing to do what it takes to be in the top 2% of players, which means doing the things 98% of players aren't willing to do, aren't willing to stick to, or are just too lazy to implement, or they simply don't know. And that's what a coach is for, telling you the things that the 98% of other players do not know. The fourth thing I want to look at for you is your laning phase. So currently your goal difference at 15 is negative 52, which makes me think you have a very, very weak laning phase. And it's actually pretty impressive that although you lose laning phase more often than not as an AD carry, you can still win 52% of your games. So it is a bit of a coin flip, very close to 50-50, but the fact that you're losing laning phase yet still able to win 52% of your games is quite a good sign. But in terms of in-game focus areas that you need to improve on, you need to focus on your laning phase. This would include positioning, trading, wave management, recalling, CSing, and overall engagements, which is kind of like trading. What I would really want you to focus on is, your CS per minute. 6.4 is not bad, it's pretty good, but your death. So what I really want you to focus on in laning phase is dying less, CSing more, and recalling and managing your wave better. Those 4 things you can easily look up on YouTube, how to fix those things, or you just get a coach such as myself to go through them with you. The last thing I want to talk about, which is probably why you have a 52% win rate, even though you you lose laning phase more often than not, is your kill participation. And obviously I can see in the last 60 games you have a 59% win rate. So your recent match history is much better than your overall match history, and it's because you're playing Jinx and Twitch, your 2 most successful AD carries that I've already mentioned. But what I want to talk about is your kill participation. So right now, over your last 60 games, you have a kill participation of 49%, which is really good. For AD carries, I recommend a 45 to 50% kill participation is a really good sign that you understand mid to late game dynamics, you understand macro gameplay, and you are there for when it matters in team fights, which is the AD carry's biggest win condition is after you get out of laning phase even, a little bit behind, a little bit ahead, doesn't really matter as long as your laning phase is consistent. The most important phase of the game for AD carries is mid to late game team fighting, because that's where AD carries thrive. That's where their role becomes so important, because they're the big DPS dealers. They're the ones that sit at the back, deal huge amounts of damage while getting protected by their team. So it's really good to see that you have that foundational understanding of being in team fights and understanding macro and understanding key moments in the game. You need to be there in the mid to late game. Overall, EK, I think you are on your way to become probably a gold or plat player. If you're interested in getting coaching and actually having a coach go through month by month and help you build out your plan, your strategy, and then help you implement it to go from silver 1 to gold 1 to plat to eventually diamond, please, once you've watched this, book a free coaching call with me. I'll put a link in the description below, as well as once you've watched this, hit me up on Discord. To be honest, diamond isn't impossible for any player. I honestly think naturally any player can get to platinum, and then the platinum to diamond, yes, less people can do it. Obviously only 2% of players can actually do it, but All it takes is a bit of strategy. Sometimes it takes a coach to help you as well, but that's my opinion. So I hope you enjoyed this profile review. Once you've watched it, please reach out to me if you are interested in paid coaching. I'll tell you everything you need to know, and then if you like the sound of it, we can go from there about getting you from silver to diamond next season. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the profile review. Cheers, good luck on the Rift, and I'll talk to you once you've watched this.